A 21-year-old girl stood on a tennis court, favoring an ankle that had already betrayed her once that week, staring into 12,000 people who had bought her country's flag before they bought their tickets. And in the seconds before she said a single word, the entire stadium stopped breathing. That moment is real. It happened 4 days ago in Toronto. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand why the woman who beat her, a Tokyo Olympic gold medalist, walked into her own press conference afterward and compared that crowd to Serena Williams. Not as an insult. As the highest compliment a professional athlete can give. But here's the part nobody's telling you properly. There's a piece of this story, something that happened in a tunnel, after the cameras stopped rolling, that changes how you see everything that came before it. I'm going to get there. Stay with me, because if you leave before the end, you're going to miss the one detail that made even Bencic's own team go quiet. Before we go further, if stories like this, the ones with real stakes and real emotion behind the scoreline, are the ones that actually move you, hit subscribe right now. Not for me. For her. Because channels like this only survive if people who feel what I just described stick around to see the next chapter. And trust me, there is one. Cincinnati is already loading. Okay. Let's go back 6 days. Eala was not supposed to be anyone's headline in Toronto. She arrived at the National Bank Open fresh off winning her first WTA singles title at the Mubadala City DC Open, where she beat American Jessica Pegula in the final. That's not a small thing. That's a 21-year-old from the Philippines beating a top American on American soil, then getting on a plane less than 48 hours later to play a WTA 1000 event in another country entirely. And that's when something happened that tournament directors don't see coming. Not from a 25th seed. The moment organizers announced Eala's opening match would be played on Wednesday night at Sobeys Stadium, the tickets moved. A Tennis Canada spokesperson confirmed that roughly 3,100 tickets were sold within hours of that announcement. Not over the 2 weeks of the tournament. Within hours. The seats sold out in 30 minutes, according to tournament director Carl Hale, and he didn't hide how unusual that was. We've never seen a player ranked outside the top 5 have this type of effect, he said. Now sit with that for a second. This is a man who has run this tournament for years. He has watched Serena Williams sell out buildings. He has watched Naomi Osaka. And he is telling you, on the record, that a 25 seed from Manila just did something he'd never seen before. Here's where it gets bigger. This wasn't a handful of superfans. Toronto is home to the largest Filipino community in the country, and nearly 2/5 of all Filipinos in Canada live in Ontario. This wasn't a curiosity crowd. This was a diaspora that had been waiting for a reason to show up, and Eala gave them one. By the time she walked out to play Alicia Parks, the flags were already everywhere. She won that match, 3 sets, and afterward she looked into the stands and said something short, something real, out there, I felt very at home with the people supporting me. That's the line that started the wave. But it wasn't the moment that defined the week. That moment was still coming, and it almost didn't happen at all. 2 nights before the match that would end her run, Eala walked into a battle against Katie McNally that nearly broke her. A grueling 3-set fight, 6-3, 5-7, 6-4, the kind of match that ages a player in real time. There were real fears about her ankle. She'd tweaked it. Nobody knew, walking into her next match, whether her body would even hold up. And it was after that match, the one where she nearly went down, physically and competitively, that she said the words that would end up on every phone in the Philippines by morning. I heard someone in the crowd say they wanted to be Filipino for tonight. Not for her. For a night. A stranger, in a stadium in Canada, deciding to borrow a flag in a country for a few hours because a 21-year-old girl made them want to belong to something. If that doesn't get you, I don't know what will. But hold that feeling, because Sunday night was coming, and Sunday night was not going to be kind. Here's the setup nobody wants to talk about honestly. Eala walked onto that court against Belinda Bencic carrying 4 life-altering events in 6 days. A WTA title. A career-high ranking. A 3-set war that put her ankle in question. And now, a round of 16 match against a former world number 4, an Olympic gold medalist, a woman who had lifted this exact trophy in this exact city 11 years earlier. Bencic did not just beat her. She ended Eala's 7-match winning streak with a 6-4, 6-0 victory, breaking her serve repeatedly and never letting the momentum swing back. The second set was a bagel. 0 games. On a court that 12,000 people had turned into a second home for the girl who lost it. Now, this is the part one promised you. The part that changes how you read everything else. After the match, in her own press conference, Bencic was asked directly about playing in front of a crowd that clearly wasn't hers. And instead of the complaint people expected, instead of the quiet-down energy some corners of tennis Twitter had been predicting all week, she said something almost nobody saw coming. "I never really minded that," she said. Then she explained why. Because whenever she played Serena Williams a few years back, or faced hostile Fed Cup crowds in France and Brazil, she genuinely liked it, she embraced it. And then the line that mattered most, she said she'd take that atmosphere over a crowd that's quiet or not interested, any day. Read that again slowly. The woman who just ended Eala's run compared the noise that Filipino fans built inside that stadium to the sound of playing against Serena Williams. That is not a throwaway line. That is one of the most accomplished players of this era, on record, telling you that a 25 seeds fanbase produced an atmosphere on par with the most intimidating crowd in the history of women's tennis. And she didn't stop there. On court, moments after match point, with the crowd still processing what had just happened, Bencic turned to the stands and said, "I know most of you guys were cheering for Alex, but I still have to say it was very nice for me to play in front of you all." The woman who beat her thanked the crowd that wanted her gone. That's the twist nobody scripted. But the moment that actually broke people, the one clip that spread through every group chat in the Philippines within the hour, wasn't Bencic's. It was Eala's. Standing there, on a bad ankle, having just lost in straight sets in front of the biggest crowd of her career, she didn't collapse. She didn't spiral. She looked at the reporters and said, plainly, "Tough one today, I think Belinda put me in some really tough situations. She played very well." Then she added the line that told you everything about who she is, "The atmosphere this whole week has been incredible." She thanked the people who filled the building for her, after losing in front of them. Think about how much composure that takes at 21 years old. And 2 days later, when the noise had died down and the flags had come off the bridges outside the stadium, she posted something in Tagalog that hit even harder because it wasn't dramatic at all. Just simple, warm gratitude. "Saya pala dito sa Barangay Toronto," she wrote, loosely, "Turns out, it's fun here in Toronto." A nickname for the city itself, because for 1 week, it stopped being someone else's home and became hers. Here's what tournament organizers can't ignore now. Every single one of Eala's 4 matches sold out the 12,000-seat Sobeys stadium. The demand got so real that Carl Hale added chicken adobo and lumpia to the food court outside the arena, because a tournament in Canada was rewriting its concession menu around a fanbase that didn't exist on their radar a year ago. That's not sentiment. That's a business signal. A 25 seed in a diaspora city moved a WTA 1000 gate the moment her name hit the schedule. That has historically only happened for the biggest names in the sport. It is happening now for Eala. So here's the question that should be keeping every tournament director in this sport up at night. Cincinnati is next. Her opening match could come as early as Monday, depending on how that ankle holds. And after that, the U.S. Open. Flushing Meadows. A city with a Filipino-American population that dwarfs even what Toronto just showed the world. If Toronto was the preview, New York is the test. Does the tour lean into a fan base that fills stadiums and reshapes menus and turns strangers into flag wavers for a night? Or does old tennis etiquette try to quietly push back against a crowd that just proved, with receipts, that it can sell out a building before a single ball is hit? That's not a question I can answer for you. That's a question I want you to answer in the comments below, right now, before you do anything else. Because I read every single one, and I want to know, if Cincinnati and New York deliver the same wave Toronto just did, is that the future of this sport, or a problem someone tries to fix? And if you were one of the people who believed in her before the DC trophy, before the 20th ranking, before any of this channel is built for you. Subscribe, turn on notifications, because the moment her name shows up on a Cincinnati draw sheet, we are covering it here first, and I am not going to let this story get buried under aggregator noise the way it almost did this week. She lost a match on Sunday. She did not lose the room. And something tells me this is only the beginning of what that crowd is going to build for her. I'll see you in the next one.